Welcome back, everyone, to True Crime Desk. I'm Richard,
I'm Maria.
and today we're going to go over the Baldwin case and all the crazy stuff that happened on day three. I originally had planned on doing video on all 3 days, but then after all this stuff happened, it doesn't really need to be done anymore. So we're going to go over that. We're going to discuss what happened. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So, like I said, we're going to go over the Baldwin case, and my sister, she's going to lead it off. So, just go ahead and tell me what you think.
I think this is the craziest trial I've ever seen. It seemed like one thing after another was something you've never seen before. Um, and I mean, the judge, the prosecutor, just all the different things that happened one after the other. It was exciting and interesting, and some points of it was sad to me. So yeah, I just thought it was very interesting trial.
Yeah. Now, I didn't know what was going on because I was out and you actually called me and said, "Hey, you actually kind of scared me because when the way you said it, it's like I thought it was something with us, the family and stuff.
Oh,
Because this way you're like, oh, did you hear what's going on? But it was I purposely don't watch it till I go to work because my job's so hard I can actually watch it at work. And that's where I do all the notes and stuff pretty much. And so I purposely don't watch it through the day. So when you had called me and said, "Hey, this is going on, that's going on," gave me a rough breakdown. Is like I have to tell you, my initial reaction was I was not happy about it because I felt that he got away with it, and I without watching anything and what happened, whether it was justified or not justified, whether what they did was right or wrong. I'm saying my initial reaction was that he fired a gun and killed somebody and he's gonna walk, and then I watched it and you know, my opinion changed a little bit, I think.
um, I was shocked. I was shocked. I watched the trial. I drive for my job, so I was listening to the trial while I was driving. I was able to watch a lot of it. Then I got back to my office. I had to turn it off and go back into the office and work some more. And then when I went back to my car when I was leaving my office, I pulled up my phone, and unfortunately, a big thing popped up showing, Alec in tears, and I'm like, uh-oh, what I miss? So I sat there in my car and I went back and I watched the rest of it, and I was absolutely shocked. And I actually got emotional watching him get emotional, um, because he did not mean to kill a person. So it's for me, it's just it's a very difficult, hard thing, and I almost like a catch 22 for me. Part of me feels like, oh, the family didn't really get anything from the trial. I mean, if the trial was gone, nothing happened, it was dismissed. Um, but then Baldwin, I mean, he seems like a tough guy sitting there, he had smirks on, I felt like he had smirks on his face at some points, and I could see, I really thought he was going to jump out of his skin at some points. He looked so mad at the prosecutor. And but then when I seen him fall apart at the end, it just shows you don't know what a person's really going through. You don't know what they're feeling and thinking. And I was shocked, absolutely shocked.
Well, what's I still want to talk about some of the stuff that happened, and one of the things that stood out to me is I watched the first case, and I was impressed with the prosecutor. I liked the way she was tough, and she was no nonsense. I appreciate that, and she didn't come off as too brash, tough, but not too bad. But watching this one, and especially day two, she was very disrespectful, in my opinion, very condescending. The other attorney, there was a point where he said he was going to introduce something, and she said she didn't know where it was, and she's asking for, page and number or something like that. And the look on his face is like, she was talking to him like he was a child, like he worked for her, and it was very disrespectful. So I was really disappointed in that behavior. That's that, and it's like I said, I kind of liked her at first, and I just didn't like that. And then that same day, the defense made a huge mistake, and
Yes.
all kinds of stuff was going to come in. And there was many people that are attorneys out there who were saying that he paid a lot of money and these attorneys are messing up. He needs to get new attorneys. And that, they're kind of joking, of course, that
Yeah.
they made such a big mistake. But then the very next day, they get it dismissed, and that's crazy.
It is.
It changed so fast from one direction to the other. It was nuts. So, what do you think about the reason it was dismissed?
Well, I agree with the dismissal. I 100% agree with it. To go back to your comment about the prosecutor Carrie, that's how she behaved in the trial against Hannah, and I absolutely did not like it. I feel like she's very disrespectful. She seems like a bully. She walks around the court like she owns it, and she doesn't object correctly. So I was really upset with um, the actual judge in the other trial because she wasn't reeling her in, and I thought that was wrong. Um, but during this proceedings, when there wasn't any jurors in the room, the judge was tougher, and that's how she should have been through the whole trial, in my opinion.
I think it's funny
Um,
because I just got done saying I didn't think she was anywhere near like that in the first one, and she was
oh,
way
she
different in the
was. I
second
watched the
one.
whole thing. Yes, she
I
was.
mean,
She was.
she was tough, but she wasn't disrespectful to the in my what I remember, she wasn't disrespectful outright to the other attorneys where she was at some point, but I mean she was way over the top this time. And I think it's because she was maybe emboldened from the first time that she was getting away with stuff, and then she didn't get in trouble. So it was even worse. She was worse
Right.
this time for sure. No,
Yeah.
no doubt she was worse. But I agree. I think that it should be dismissed. I'm not happy with him walking. I mean, I have a guy that came into work and I asked him if he heard it, and he said, we shouldn't have been on trial anyway. I disagree. He definitely was responsible. And I don't like the fact that he's just going to walk away when someone died. I'm so tired of hearing this. Well, he's an actor and this and that. So now actors can just walk around and just shoot people at willy nilly because they're an actor and someone hands them a gun. It's okay. I mean, that's ridiculous. I've been hearing that way too much. Oh, he's an actor. He's not responsible. He's an actor. Okay, so don't go around any actors on a movie set because they can shoot you and get away with it because they're an actor. They're not responsible. That's ridiculous. So I don't like the fact that he's walking for the fact I don't like the fact that he's going home. He's not being punished. We have no results. We have no closure. We have nothing was proven. Nothing happened. It was just it's. I don't like that part.
Well,
But they made a mistake legally.
mhm.
So I do like that part is that they follow the law, and that's what we want because we're in
So
that
do
same
I.
situation. We want that to happen. So the result was correct, 100% correct. But I don't like the other part of it. But that's what can you do about it? That's not his fault. He didn't do that. He made a mistake. And then it's funny, real quick. There's one thing I heard in the case. I think it was day two that he said to somebody that he's too old to rely on luck or something like that. Well, he got lucky. He got lucky. That's the way I look at him. It was wrong, but he definitely got lucky.
Well, from my understanding, and I don't know all the details about it, but from my understanding, there was some type of, I'm not gonna say deal, but there was something that was done between him and Hannah's husband and family, from my understanding.
Yeah, I
So
think so.
yeah, so they did get something. I mean, obviously nothing's ever going to be good enough, that's for sure. Um, for me, it's really weird because when it first happened, my first response was, like I mentioned before, I didn't think that he should be in trouble at all because he was an actor. He has people that have their jobs that are supposed to be taking care of the ammunition, the guns, and the safety checks, and which is the armor and also the safety producer, whatever he was above her. So there's two right there that are supposed to make sure everything's safe and okay. And he handed Baldwin the gun, not Hannah, and Hannah wasn't allowed in there. But anyway, so at the time, I totally felt like he should not. It wasn't, it was an accident, and he shouldn't be in trouble at all. Then, it started getting more and more happening on TV and the trials, the other trial, and this and that. And so then I started thinking, well, he did actually point the gun at her, which is true. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Part of me feels like it's like it's a 20 catch 22 for me. Part of me feels like he definitely should not be in trouble because he was trusting the people he hired to do their job. Um, but then the other part of me is like, well, he shouldn't have pointed the gun at a person. So it's very hard for me. But to watch him break down like that and just see him as an actual real human being, not an actor, not a person that's, tough and, pushy, it it was very emotional for me. My husband just said, "Are you crying?" And I didn't answer because I was.
Oh, oh,
So it's just a crazy situation, but the judge did the right
yeah.
thing, and the
Well,
judge was pissed. The judge was this whole trial was crazy. I mean, from the beginning to the end of it. I mean, the jurors didn't see anything yesterday. They came in to be told to go home. Um, so everybody was lying. Nobody was truthful, the prosecutor, I'd never seen this stuff until today. The detective Hancock, which I do not like whatsoever, she always had a smirk on her face, like it was a joke to her. I never seen this stuff, and so it just was showing that they're lying. And then the girl, the what was it? The I wrote it down because I can't remember the name. CT.
doesn't
Uh,
matter.
the one
She's a
that did the
crime scene
evidence, the
analyst.
one that did the evidence, first person that was
She's a crime
talking,
scene analyst.
Yes, Poppy girl, or whatever her name was. Um, she had an attitude against the prosecutor because she knew it was wrong. She knew that she did was wrong. You don't put a different case number on it and push it and hide it so that nobody knows it's there.
Yeah, but then we
So,
got right down to it today. Her whole attitude changed as well. And when he was talking to her, she was nasty to the defense guy because she's
yes,
trying to cover herself. So if it was so wrong, then why did she change her attitudes? Everybody just all of a sudden tried to cover their own butt and blame
yes,
everybody else.
yes,
You know what I mean? That's what it was. But she was once again, she was very disrespectful
yes,
to
she
the
was.
defense guy and saying, "Well, don't call me this. I'm not an investigator." It's like,
That
okay.
long question,
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit
yeah,
different when it's a little
Popple.
bit different when they're doing this type of stuff. Is that they don't? She's not going to object because it's not the same. So you
Right.
notice they were saying a lot of things and they were doing a lot of leading stuff because they're trying to get the information. But yeah,
And they're talking to the
I didn't
judge,
like
which
that at
is
all.
funny because it's like sometimes I notice that both of them, the prosecutor and the defense lawyers, I noticed that sometimes they would start talking and it's almost like they forgot they were talking to the judge or saying things that were would say to a jury to make the juror go to your side and listen to what you're saying. But it's like this is a judge. She doesn't need to hear all that stuff. She knows what's going on. Um, I thought the judge was very interesting. Let me get off the bench and put some gloves on and make the what is the crime scene tech come back and go through all the ammo and oh my goodness, oh what a shock, this looks like the bullets that were on the set. So that whole thing was absolutely, it was like a movie. I mean, it wasn't even like a trial.
Well, one thing I was going to talk about in my other video um, is the CSI analyst is all of a sudden a gun expert because she goes to one movie set and they're asking her a bunch of questions. Of course, she's using all the wrong terms with this casing crap instead of case. It drives me nuts. Everybody's casing. It's case or cases, and then you get Kenny on there. I think it's Seth Kenny. He gets
Oh,
on there, and right away, the first thing he says is case, because he knows about firearms. So you're a CSI, and you went to one crime scene or one movie set, and all of a sudden, she's an expert on firearms. It's a joke. The whole thing was a joke. And then it's I don't know. It's just it was a mess. I mean, it
well,
was a complete mess. I just
it
think they just screwed it all up. And see, the prosecution, they have the burden. They have to be 100% correct. Now, of course, you obviously have to turn everything over. It's not up to her to determine whether this is relevant for the case or not. Well, this had
right,
nothing to do with it. That's not up to you. If that's evidence or it's brought in as it, then it goes to them, and the decision is made by them. And
correct.
that's what she was saying today. Well, it has nothing to do with it. Well, it says you. I mean, that's not up to you.
Right.
And that's the biggest
That's
problem.
why
It's
it's
like,
called evidence, so that it
you
can be
know,
figured out if it's part of what you're looking for, a part of the trial, part of what you need, if it is actual evidence or not. That's why,
I thought it was
um,
funny because they were asking her about, did you say this about him, his nasty things? Did you call him this name? The thing that stood out to me, he says, "Oh no, I like him, and I especially like his politics." And I said, "Okay, then I definitely don't like you because he's, I want to go there, but we don't
yeah.
agree. We don't agree politically. Let's just put it that way." So when she said that, I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." It was a clown show.
What I thought
She
was
wants to
funny
put
was
herself.
when
She wants to put herself on the stand.
the
I mean, her arrogance
judge
is
gave her
ridiculous.
time after time areas of like almost saying don't do it. She was almost saying don't do it without saying don't do it. And even the other lawyer, the defensive lawyer says, I rest. So it's like, I don't need to hear from her. I rest. But she had to go up there because she thinks she is the head all of everything and she's gonna, do and say everything to fix everything.
Well, do you know that the other lady that did the opening statement, the opening, she quit.
Yep.
You do know that, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
when they went to the break at lunchtime,
Yes.
she wanted the defense. She wanted the prosecution to get, I can't remember the term, but stop the case. She wanted her to get all the charges off. She wanted to stop. I don't know what the stupid term is. And they didn't want to do it. And so she quit because they wouldn't do it. Because she
Yeah,
said, this is
you're talking
bad.
about Orlinda Johnson. Yes, I actually seen her walking off and leaving, but I didn't realize she was actually leaving, like she quit. And it wasn't just her. There was a couple other people they mentioned that actually quit as well. So there was like three different people, I think it was, that actually quit yesterday. They're like, I'm not getting involved in this shit show. And so that was really it was interesting seeing her try and talk her way out of everything. And then
Yeah.
she would talk
Scorn.
still on the stand. She still talked to him like he was a child.
Yep. She's
So as let
squirming.
me go back to Seth Kenny,
That, yep.
the PDQ with PDQ. I do not like this man. I think he had his hands in everything. I believe him and the blonde girl, which I do not remember her name, the one that threw evidence away at his instructions. I don't trust him at all. There's more to him, and and he was cocky as heck on the stand, and I do not like that man. I think that they should have looked at him more. And I think the girl that threw the stuff away should have been looked at more as well. They just like let it once again push under the rug because we want to go after Baldwin, we want to go after Hannah. I think that it was just a huge mess. Let's see. Yeah,
Yeah.
who does that? Who gets evidence brought to them at the police station and just shoves it under the rug? I
No, according to her, it wasn't relevant. It had nothing to do with the case. And the thing is what's ironic is she's right. This whole, she's right as far as everything they were arguing today had nothing to do with Alec. Had nothing to do with him having a gun in his hand and pulling the trigger.
I
And he
agree.
got he got off on something that had nothing to do with him. It had nothing. It had nothing to do with the gun being in his hand and him shooting somebody.
Correct.
But
I do
because
agree with
that's the way
that,
the
and I
law is,
think
it
that
gets away.
yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I do agree with that, and I think that the prosecutor and Mrs. Hancock, the detective, lead detective, I think that they need to look at themselves in the mirror and realize that they gave him a pass. They let him get off because of their shady work. They were they knew what they were doing, both of them. And then they instructed the crime scene tech to put the different case number and stuff. And you could tell when she was on the stand at the beginning and she was answering questions, she seemed, she's answering questions fine. But when it came to that question about the case number being different, her demeanor changed. Oh, she changed, and it's like almost like a flag saying, uh-oh, notice me. Yeah, it changed. And right then and there, I knew, okay, something's up here. And so she did it because she was told to, but she wasn't going to admit that on the stand, which to me, these people are perjuring themselves, you know. Miss Carey, the prosecutor, oh, I've never seen this stuff till today, really? Because when you're on the stand, it came out that you did see this, all this stuff. The lead detective, excuse me, Hancock, same thing. Oh, I just seen this stuff today. Oh, really? So my question is, what's going to happen to them? They were up there lying. They
I
lied. They ruined this whole case and got Baldwin off. So what
when
happens to them? Nothing?
yeah, well, and usually it doesn't. And when I first I forgot what I was going to say when but nothing is going to happen to them. I think Oh no,
Which
what I
is
was going to say when my first instinct was now it's going to let Hannah get away because if she falsified evidence or was shady or however you want to put it
right.
or
What
hit
else did she
things,
falsify?
is
Right.
that they're going to be able to get Hannah off. But then when I listened to it, the ammo that there was in question came in after Hannah's case was over.
Yes.
So it's not anything that would influence her case because the ammo didn't come in until it was over with. And then her attorney didn't even want to call the guy and didn't want to do the ammo. So they knew about it and it was after the case was over. So I don't think that they're going to be able to use that, but they can say that she, they can just throw it out there like like they did with the OJ thing, just throw things out and see what sticks. So they did, all
That's
the
what's
other
crazy
cases
about the whole thing. There was no
and see what
reason.
happens.
Yeah, what's crazy about the whole thing is that, like you mentioned a minute ago, this ammo would not have helped Baldwin get, found not guilty. It wouldn't because it has nothing to do with I picked up a gun, I pulled the trigger, and I pointed at somebody. So the ammo, that wouldn't have anything to do with it. That has nothing to do with it. Would not have gotten him off. So for them to sit there and be shady like this, why? What was their reason? It makes absolutely no sense.
I honestly believe that she saw the ammunition. She realized had nothing to do with the case, in her opinion. It was never even near the set. And so it was irrelevant. So if it's irrelevant, it's just like it doesn't exist. I just think it is as simple as that. I don't believe they were hiding it on purpose. I don't believe that they were being shady and just trying to get him no matter what. I don't believe any of that. I don't believe it at all. I believe that she was honestly got the ammunition. It wasn't there. Everything she said, I really believe that she believed that. And because it wasn't relevant, they didn't need to see it. It doesn't exist. It's a waste of time. That's what I believe. I don't believe they did anything purposely. I don't believe they purposely hid it and didn't want. Why? It wouldn't have done anything. So
Well,
why are you going to purposely hide something that's not going to do anything when you can hide something that will do something?
right.
So
Well,
it doesn't make any sense.
if that's actually true, that's fine and dandy, but they should have just, if they would have done their job correctly, this would have never happened because you get all kinds of evidence that it's meaningless and doesn't help cases. So there was no reason for them not to bring this in because it was just going to show, oh, it came after the fact, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's not
Right.
going to actually help the case.
It wouldn't,
So there was no
wouldn't matter.
reason for that. That's why to me it seems sneaky. And I didn't think I felt the same way at first, the way that you are talking about. But after her talking on the stand and her demeanor and different people quitting, no, I firmly personally believe that they knew what they were doing when they did it and they didn't think they would get caught. So
Yeah.
here's what happens when you are sneaky and you don't do things correctly. Now you hurt the case and it's done. It's,
I
dismissed. So
I just think it was a fact. I just think it was a fact. She didn't think it was important. She's arrogant, and
she is arrogant.
she thought because it's not important, then she didn't need to disclose it. But she didn't think about, you know what? I don't think it's important. It has nothing to do with the case, but legally I have to disclose it. It's just as simple as that. She didn't do that. I think that she just thought it wasn't important. It has nothing to do with it. It's a waste of time. And so I'm just not going to worry about it. And then when it came out, then she tried to hide it all, and then they tried to, then it made it look even worse. They always say the cover up's worse than the crime.
Right.
So
Well, like
it's
I
sad for me because everybody's all like he's crying, and I understand he's upset and his wife's upset, and it's very hard on them. I understand that because it's got to be terrifying to maybe go to jail but there was a lot of emotion for him and his family and himself. I don't know what about someone else's that was dead. I don't know. I wasn't in his house when he went home, so it's possible that he was the same way. And it's been a while, so he's not gonna openly cry over that. And so I don't really feel comfortable. I don't really feel comfortable ever judging people and why the way they react because everybody acts differently.
Yes,
Instead
yes.
of just saying, well, he's upset, he's sad for himself, but he wasn't sad for her. I almost just said that, and that's not what I meant. It probably came out wrong because we don't know how he acted,
I mean,
and if he wasn't all upset outwardly, he could have been inwardly when it came to her, and then for himself, it could have been outwardly because maybe he's thinking about his children and his wife. So it's completely different. So I just think it's a bad thing to judge people by the way they initially react to things.
well, I think it's a mixture of both. I think that, he's been going through this didn't just happen yesterday. This has been going on for a while. I think that between, him, the reality of him killing somebody, I mean, that's a huge thing. And it's not like he just, stubbed someone's toe. He killed somebody. And then he was told, oh, you're not going to be tried. And then all of a sudden you're going to be tried. And then, people talking all this stuff on the media and him doing all these interviews. And, he does have to worry about his family. He has to worry about his family, the family well-being of his family, himself. But also he's got to have this horrible guilt inside because he killed someone and it wasn't even his fault. It was, I mean, ultimately, because he didn't put the bullet in the gun. So it was an accident. It's like if someone's driving and they act and someone runs in front of their car and they kill them, they're going to always have that guilt because it was an accident versus if somebody just, ran over someone on purpose. So that kind of analogy is like, nobody knows all that horribleness he's going through. I mean, he just, to me, I don't want to be rude or anything, but he looked horrible. His eyes had such bags on him. I mean, he looks like he didn't get any sleep, probably worrying about all this stuff and trying to go on with life. But then again, they are doing also a reality show, so then I guess I don't know how that is, but um, so I agree with you. We can't really judge, why someone, reacts the way they do.
One, yeah, I agree. But the one thing you can, in my opinion, uh, you can judge is how you're going to act from now on. So we're going to see, he has a reality show, so he was doing that anyway. But are we going to see a book about this? We're going to
I
see a miniseries about this? We're going to see you talking and going on the circuit and talking to everybody about all that. So we're going to start seeing all that because we start seeing that. That's unacceptable. He
I
shouldn't
agree.
be talking about this at all. He shouldn't be making money on this. Shouldn't try to make anything on this. And that's the problem is I have a feeling that's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to be doing interview
Um,
circuits all over. I don't know whether he's going to pay it or not. That's irrelevant. He's going to be doing all this talking, and then it's just going to be a circus. It should go away. He shouldn't talk about it at all. If it was really the way it should be for any of us, we wouldn't be doing that. We wouldn't be doing that at all. So
well,
let's see what happens. Is there gonna,
yeah.
like I said, is there gonna be a movie? Is he gonna do a documentary on it? Because there was rumors that he was gonna do that anyway. And now when they found out about it, they took the deal out of there that he was talking to witnesses and he was gonna get like some kind of thing set up about what all the all that stuff would happen. And so I wouldn't put it past them because that's what they do.
I guess we'll find out. I sure hope that's not the case because I mean, I'm not really an Alec Baldwin fan anyway. He's yeah, not known to be the nicest person. Um, So I sure hope that's not the case because that's just sickening if it does happen, it's sickening. But nothing would surprise me though. I mean, wouldn't surprise me. But
Yeah.
but so the facts are that, they suppressed evidence. The prosecutor took it upon herself to say that it had no evidential value. The evidence did not have any value. And then um her I guess I'm going to go back to what you said, where you don't believe it was done on purpose. But what pushes me to think that that was on purpose is the things like, oh well, is it true that you called him, the C word, and the A word, and saying that I'm going to get him, things like that. That sounds more like a vendetta than I want justice to be done for someone that has been killed.
Yeah, but that's the case. And you're gonna make not making mistakes. If I want to get you, I'm not going to hide something that's not going to matter. It's not going to matter whether you get out or not. So I'm going to hide it to mess up my own case. So the person I want to get so bad is going to get to walk. It makes no
Well,
sense.
it doesn't
It
make
makes
any
no
sense.
sense. The
It doesn't
fact
make any
is,
sense, but if you're so hot-headed and you just want things so badly, you can make a stupid mistake like that. So I don't know. I mean, only she knows.
you can make that stupid mistake if it's going to help your case. It's not going to help or hurt her case. If she gave the ammo, it wouldn't do anything for him.
Right, then why
And
hide
so
it?
there's no reason to sabotage or take a chance on ruining a case by getting this guy on something that's not going to get this guy. It wouldn't have got him. It
No,
was
I
just her
know.
arrogance of she's thinking that it didn't matter. It's not relevant. And so she didn't let them know about it because she didn't think that it doesn't matter when you think it's relevant. It's just as simple as that. I
Yeah.
don't believe it's because she wanted to get him. She would have hid something that would have helped him. You know what I mean? In another way, like she would have hid the fact that I can't even think of anything, but she would have hid something else.
Well, then,
But that's
okay,
why,
well, maybe if that's true, why did they all of them lie about it on the stand? Why are
because
they all lying about
they
it?
lied because they realized that what they did looked bad and what they did was wrong. It was a Brady violation. So of course they're going to lie. They're all covering their butts. That they realized after the fact they made a mistake and that it shouldn't have been done that way, and it
Right.
looked really bad. That's
Well, in
why
a
they did it.
trial, and I know when I was on a juror, when I was a juror, the judge said, it was said that if someone's up on the stand and they lie about something, and you feel that they're lying about something, you can throw their whole testimony out.
Yep,
So that goes for this whole case. So if you're
exactly.
lying here, you're hiding this crap here, guess what? Bye bye. And that's what happened. Yep.
That's the thing is because if this is this like the defense was saying that they did multiple things. This wasn't a one off. In their opinion, they did
Right,
multiple
right.
things. You know, this is just the one that was the biggest. So if there was other things, if there was something that she did or they did that if they would have known about, they wouldn't have been able to charge him, or they would have known about and the case would have been over right away, or they would have known about and it would have helped his defense, then you can say that. This would have not helped his defense. It wouldn't have hurt his defense. It would have done nothing.
Right,
That's
right.
what's so frustrating is this case was thrown out over something it didn't affect him. It didn't matter. It
Yeah,
affected him legally because it's unacceptable to not give all the evidence. That's the only way it affected him is that it wasn't released like it should have been.
right.
But as far as him being innocent or guilty, it would have had nothing to do with it.
Right. And so that's why it'll sting that much
Yeah.
harder for them because it was something that was, you could almost say irrelevant, almost.
Yeah.
So I have a questions on a um, different question here. So who was your favorite, like, lawyer, like on the prosecution side and on the defense side? Who would you
Well,
say that you thought did the best job?
like I said, after watching the first trial, I kind of knew how the prosecutor was, and then she had another lady with her that I didn't know, so you had to get used to her. And then he had a defense team that I'd never seen because Hannah had different people. And so when I went into it, I kind of was, I wouldn't say biased, but I knew how she would kind of be. So I wanted to see how the defense was going to be
Mhm.
because a lot of times they can come off as shady or just flat out lying, like Jose
Right,
Baez, who's a scumbag in my opinion.
right.
And so the more it went, I was very impressed with the defense attorney. I honestly felt bad for him when they made the mistake and all that stuff was going to come out
Oh, his
because
face,
I just
his
felt bad for
face.
him. I didn't like the way he was being treated by the I thought by her. I liked the way he especially when she's saying time and page or whatever she was saying. I can't remember, and the look in his face, and he slowed down and he said it really slowly and even looked at the jury but I did notice. So I say that my favorite one to answer your question it was him. I think he did a great job. But I did notice today, or whenever, well, it was yesterday as we're recording this.
Yeah.
He was fighting back to her when she said something when he was talking. He says, "Oh, is she reject me, or is she making a statement or something like that?"
Right, right.
I can't
Or is
remember
she just
exactly what the
talking?
I
Yeah,
can't remember what the wording was, but
is
he
this
snapped
an
back at her.
objection or is she just talking?
So he actually snapped back at her and like he didn't do the day before. And I think as he knew he had her on the ropes. And then he
Yes.
says when she was going to put, when she actually put herself on the stand, which is crazy, that he was going to rest. He says, I don't care. I don't, she can do it. But then when she was up there, he said, okay, I'm going to ask her questions.
Yeah.
And for him to be asking her questions to me was really weird. And it's like, because she's such a arrogant person. Like she knows it all. And for him to be able to question her
Yeah.
and like almost put her in her
Oh, and she
place,
doesn't like that.
it was
Yeah.
very satisfying because
It
she
was.
she screwed up, and it's like she should be made to feel like a fool because what you did was wrong.
Yeah. Well, the
So
day
he was
before,
my favorite. He was my
yeah,
favorite.
because the day before he made that error that was going to bring Baldwin's conversations in that weren't going to be brought in before that. And so, and he had like the deer in the headlights look. I felt so sorry for him. But then yesterday is like he got to a comeback. It's like I got my comeback, you know.
Yeah,
I agree with you, but I really liked, I don't, unfortunately, I don't know the gentleman's name, but I really like the bald man lawyer because he's the one that did all the, was telling the judge about all the stuff that had been going on and how it was, the case number was, different. And so he brought all that to attention. And I thought he did a great job. And then rebuttal when he did that, like, after she came up, the prosecutor came up and was trying to defend herself, and then he came back. I thought he did a great job. But I would have to say that the main prosecutor, which his name was, I wrote it somewhere, Spiro, Mr. Spiro, I thought he was really good. And especially yesterday, he was absolutely on it. And I actually really did like the prosecutor that did the opening, which her name, she's the one that quit. It was Olivia or Mrs. Johnson. She did a great job. I liked her because she just got down to business. She wasn't cocky. She wasn't didn't have that attitude
right.
like Carrie does. And I thought she did a wonderful job. I actually didn't think that Baldwin's um, lawyer did a great job at his opening. At that point, I was one of the people saying, wait a minute, he has all this money and this is a lawyer he got? I was
Yeah,
kind of talking a little bit of trash, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
Um, but no, he redeemed himself. He really did. So it's like I said, it was a case of I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. The judge gets off the bench,
yeah.
the
That's true.
prosecutor gets on the stand. Stuff
Yep.
is being hid, being suppressed. Um,
Yeah.
just
Usually when they say that, they're just trying to get something to stick, but they actually had a legitimate case. They actually did. And the more
yes,
they went, it's like, whoa, this is getting worse. And
yes,
then to me, one thing that stood out to me is the judge within a short amount of time, you can see that she was going to throw this out.
oh yes,
And then she started getting short with her, and you could just tell. And then the further it went, you can see that her
she's
mind was
getting.
getting
Oh,
big.
she couldn't. She's kind of like me. If I'm upset about something, I can't hide my face. You see it on my face. The judge had that look. She had the look of I'm absolutely pissed. I'm over this. I can't believe this is happening. This is just absolutely unacceptable. This should not be happening. And yeah, you're right. I'm not, she's trying to interrupt the judge. She's like, I'm not finished. She was getting like pissed. So,
Yep.
yeah, we've seen a
Yeah.
definite turn with that, with the
Yeah.
judge for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. The judge, she wasn't happy with it at all. I mean, I think she did it. I think she did a good job. She did the right thing. She has to go by the law, and she doesn't have to like it. But that's the way it works. It has to work that way. That's the system has to work like that because if you're in that same situation, you might say, "Phew, I got lucky" or whatever. But that's the way it works. And the thing is that I honestly believe, by the reactions of the defense team, and that it wasn't. We're happy that we won because we win and it looks good for us personally. And I really believe they believed in their case. They believed that he shouldn't have been on
Oh, I,
trial.
I believe it too.
There's a lot of people that believe that, a lot of people that think the same thing, and so I think it makes it a lot easier when you're defending someone that you really believe in and you really believe, you really believe they shouldn't be there,
Yeah.
and they were very, very pleased, and everybody was really happy. Everybody they work hard, and it's a whole team, and they did the right thing, and
Well, I
they
definitely don't
it
think
up.
anybody expected this by any means. Did not expect this at all. it was like it came from left field, I tell you, because I was sitting there thinking, oh, this is gonna be a 9-day trial. Thinking, wonder what's gonna happen next. When's the jurors gonna come in? And next you know,
Right.
there's no jurors coming in today. Um, yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, if I was to say what do you think the conclusion would have been is
Well,
what your conclusion I think it should have been if all this didn't happen, he should have been found guilty and should have been put in jail. I don't care if him being an actor or not. I'm tired. I'm really tired of hearing that stuff. Actors are not responsible. I'm so tired of hearing that.
well,
Firearms are
I
deadly.
don't.
Firearms in your hand. You're responsible.
Yeah,
And the thing is, you're dangerous in the first place. It's like he's the kind of person I wouldn't want to be around when firearms are around because he's a grown man and he acts like a child with them. And it's like, but he's not responsible because he's an actor. So
well, I don't think he'll
I
ever do
think that
that
he should have.
again.
I think he should have been found guilty. I think he was guilty. He is guilty, in my opinion. And unfortunately, the family, it's like nobody even talks about the family. It's like, oh, it's all
Yeah.
about him and it's all about the case. And it's what about her son? What about them? They have, I mean, they're got to be devastated. You know, it's just that's the sad part. And nobody wins in these type of cases. Nobody wins anyway. There's, obviously they're not winning because she's gone,
Right, right,
and he's not going to win because he'll either have to go to
right.
jail or
Because
he's
him
got to
going to
live.
jail is not
He
going to
has
bring
to
her back,
he has to live with it. He has to live with the fact that he did what he did. Um, and whether that affects him or not, that's we don't know because we don't know his heart. We don't know. We only know what people show us, so we don't really know. And so nobody wins in this, no matter what. So you say, oh, he won, he got away with it. Technically, in the that legal part, he did, but in life in general, nobody wins when this kind of
Well, he
stuff
didn't really
happens.
win per se. It got dismissed. So it's like he didn't win. It was just, yeah, I mean, he got lucky, to be honest with you. Because it did the trial didn't get far enough in depth with things to make a decision on whether he was guilty or not guilty for the jurors. They didn't see enough evidence, they seen some stuff, but they didn't see enough evidence to say, yes, this man's guilty. What was the trial? 3 days? Yeah, 3 days,
Yeah,
and they only got 2 days of it. The third day they didn't even get any action, not action, but they were in the they didn't get any information. They were sent home. So, um,
yeah. I'm curious if they'll talk to a couple of the jurors and see if any of them were at a certain spot for a certain point. I mean,
they might,
you're not supposed to make up your mind, but I mean, you still had a couple of days of testimony, so kind of thinking,
yeah, I could just,
what were you leaning at
yeah.
the point?
Or what were you thinking after the evidence that you seen at that point? What were you thinking,
Exactly.
if anything, because you're really supposed to wait to the end of the trial and see all the evidence and then make your conclusion. I mean, supposedly these people that were picked to be on the jury had never, you know, seen or heard about the case, which I find that really interesting because who the heck in this world would not have heard about that case, about, her getting shot and with it being a big star like Alec Baldwin, but I guess there are a lot of people that don't watch TV, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, especially because it was in the same place. They didn't go to a different state or
Right.
a different area. So if it's something like that happens in New Mexico, your area there, it's a pretty big thing. You'd think you would definitely know about it. You're definitely going to hear about it.
And
But
they do.
they say they didn't, or what they say on their jury thing. We don't know whether it's true or not. You hope that
Yeah.
they're honest.
Yeah. One thing that was interesting as well is that I felt sorry for Baldwin's lawyer was he kept using a certain phrase and then people were giving him a hard time for it. It's because he's from a lawyer from New York. So they use that phrase in New York. And when he was referring to, documenting the information, but he called it a different phrase and they kept giving him a hard time. Well, what are you talking about? What does that even mean? And the first person that started doing that was the crime scene tech kept, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about when you keep saying that, She was just being a smart aleck, but I did feel a little bit sorry for him at that point, but once again, it came back,
I think he
came
was
back.
saying categorize it or something like that
No, it was some other odd word, but anyway,
instead of being inventoried or whatever the word they
right,
wanted him
right.
to use. But
Yeah.
yeah, they were just being nasty. They were on their heels at that point, and all three of them because the detective came in and they're all like, they're all They're all trying to cover their butt. It just didn't look
Yes.
good. It wasn't a good look.
Oh,
It
well,
looked like I said, the optics were worse than really. I can't say it's
yes.
worse than what really happened because what really happened was
It
unacceptable.
was very
Um,
bad.
but it just started looking really bad.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that it started off with the very first witness that the young detective, I believe he is,
Yep.
he looked like he didn't want to be there. He looked like he was bored as you know what. And it was irritating to me because I seen him in Hannah's trial and he did not act like that. He was not like that. So I don't know what was going on. Was he nervous because it was Alec Baldwin? What was it? Because he acted so odd. And then the crime tech person, Mrs. Popple, she just, I felt like from the beginning, she kind of had this look to her like she hadn't, they all just seemed like they had attitudes, you know. She had an attitude.
Well,
The,
she's a firearm expert. You know that. She went to one movie set and all of a sudden she's a firearm expert. He
yeah,
uses all the wrong terms, you know.
right.
I mean, like it's like I don't know. It's maybe just because I'm a gunsmith and all I know about guns. It just drives me bananas with these so-called experts. And I can tell within the first 2 seconds. Yeah,
So, I mean, when they, as far as I'd known, I could be wrong because I was watching the trial um, with a lady named Emily that I watched. And at the end, she was trying to see if they were going to have a press conference. And there was a section where they had a bunch of mics, but I seen the lawyers just walk and leave, Baldwin's lawyers. So I don't think anybody actually
wait,
talked after the fact. Did you see anybody talk after
yeah,
the fact?
what's her name did? The defense lady. I mean, the prosecutor did.
Oh, she did. Of course
Yeah, I
she
remember
did.
seeing.
Of course she
Yeah,
has to
she did.
talk.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. It was not even a minute.
She
And
had
she
mud
said
on
that
her
she
face.
agreed. She said she agrees with the judge's decision and it was right. And then he says, "Well, you happy?" He said, well, basically, she said she agreed because that's what she has to say. And they
Yeah.
asked if she's going to apologize to the family or that she thinks that she owes an apology, and she says no. And
Oh,
it
wow.
wasn't very long. It was pretty short. But
I
I
did not
also
know that.
saw on something. I think it had something to do with. I don't remember who it was. Um, it was Cuomo's brother. You know, he was actually interviewing the lady that quit. Shouldn't call her a girl.
Oh,
The
okay.
lady that
Miss
quit.
Mrs. Johnson. Miss Johnson, yes.
He interviewed her, and I watched a little bit of it, but she was just basically saying that she wanted them to throw the case out when she found out what was going on, and she thought that they should just throw it out, and that would have been the right thing to do, and it
It
would
would
have
have been the
been,
right thing to do.
because it made then it just made it worse by them not doing it.
Yes. Yes.
And,
'Cause like you
and
said,
they,
if you're once you when you're being a liar and a sneak, it's gonna bite you in the end, you know. If they would have done what she said and they would have said, we're gonna just dismiss this, we're not gonna go any further, however, whatever you call it, um, then it would have all just been, oh wow, they wouldn't have all the mud on their face. Now they have the mud on their face. The lady quit, they said the person quit. I mean, it's just a huge, huge, huge mess.
yep,
Not a good look, like you said.
yep, I know. I tell you, one person that does look good is the one that left because it shows she has integrity. She was
Yes.
there and she said, "Hey, man, this is not right. I'm out of here. I don't want
Yep,
any part of this because this is
exactly.
unacceptable." And so she literally walked out and
Yep.
quit.
I
It's like
know.
that's crazy. That's
It is
crazy.
crazy because I did see her walk out and I thought I didn't know where she was going, but she's
Yeah,
like,
of course
peace
not.
out.
Well, Alec walked out too when she was doing an argument. I think day two
Oh my
about
gosh,
something,
yes.
and he just gets up and walks out, and she looked back and stopped, and that was crazy in itself. I
So
mean,
his
his facial
lawyer,
reactions were
yeah, his lawyer
crazy.
was like, "What's he doing?" And everybody's like speculating. Do you have to go to the bathroom? I mean, what's going on? Then he comes back with a coffee. A coffee? What the heck? So after I noticed that another time when he left and came back, he had like a piece of paper in his hand or something. I think he was running a little bit late. And he looked at the judge and said, sorry, sorry, judge. So he realized he can't just get up and leave
Yeah,
whenever. But the timing of it was really interesting because she was, the prosecutor was saying how he was a liar about something. And right when she started saying that is when he got up. So that's why it was interesting. It was like, okay, wait a minute. Is he getting up because he's pissed off? What's going on? But I don't think it was anything like that. I mean, maybe he really just had to go to the bathroom, but you don't do that when you're in a trial and things are going on.
Did you notice that he actually acknowledged that he like thanked the judge? at the very end there. He put his
No,
hand
I
out
didn't
and
see that. I
yeah,
did not see that. I
he
missed
put his
it.
hand, and I'm pretty sure he was doing it to the judge because he did it towards the front and said like
Yeah.
oh thank you right after
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was directed towards her. She's up front, unless there was somebody else up there. I don't think there
I
was.
don't know if you noticed, but when one thing that did irritate me was when his lawyer had that whiteboard up there because he put the whiteboard right in front of Baldwin. And so the jurors could not see Baldwin at all.
Yeah,
And I thought, was that strategic or was it accidental? And then they left it there for a long, long time. And finally, somebody said, "Can we please move that?" Because I thought that's not okay. The jury should be able to see, Baldwin's facial expressions, how he's, looking or whatever. And that big whiteboard's right in the way. In fact, at one point, his lawyer was leaning over so he could see the prosecutor talking. It's like, move the
yeah,
stinking
no,
board. So I
yeah.
think it might have been on purpose, but I don't know.
If it was, she didn't say anything about it, and you figured that she would, with knowing her and her attitude.
Yeah,
She figured she'd say something about it. I just don't think it's a good look. I don't think if you're on a jury and you're really overly aggressive and disrespectful, that I don't think jurors like that. I don't think people in general like that. And especially when you're talking down to another an attorney, you're almost making it personal. And I
right.
don't. That's not a good way to go about it.
It's not.
And he looked at the jury a few times when she did stuff like that. Like, what can I do about it?
Right.
And there's a time that she actually made an argument and objected to something. He came back, and first thing he said is, "Can you read it back word for word?" And then when they did, he basically showing that she lost that argument up there, by the way, because they got to do it word for word. And then she did that later on. She did the same thing when he went up there. She did the same thing. Can you read it back? It's like she was, I don't know.
Petty.
It just
She's very petty.
started becoming a soap opera instead of a legal
Right.
proceeding.
Yeah. Yeah. I will
Not the way
say
it should
that I was on a jury once, and the each side had two different lawyers, and there was the one lawyer I just couldn't stand him. Couldn't stand him. But unfortunately, with all the evidence, that was the person that was found not had to be found not guilty, was the one with the lawyer I couldn't stand. So I guess having said that, if you're doing your job, you can't let the lawyer's behavior get to you because you just need to look at the evidence and make sure you're going by the evidence. Because if you go by oh, I don't like that lawyer, then a lot of people are going to be found not guilty or guilty that shouldn't be. If people do
Yeah,
that. And I sure hope people don't do that because,
I agree with you, but I'm a realist, and people are people.
oh
And so
yeah, and
that
apparently there was a lot more women on this trial, I'm sorry, on this jury than men. I heard that on the radio. So there was
yeah,
more women. So they were saying that they thought was bad for Baldwin because, it was a woman that was killed and she has a child and, a woman's going to be more sensitive to that versus a man. And then of course women I think, I don't know this for sure, that's my opinion, that women are probably more afraid of guns than men are, that kind of thing. So I do agree. I think having a lot more women on the jury was probably not a good thing for Baldwin.
yeah,
I guess it
yeah.
doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't matter. Like I said, we
Yeah.
got there's no closure. There's nothing. We have no
Mm.
results. We don't. There's nothing. It's nothing's. We don't get to hear any more evidence. We don't. There's nothing was resolved other than they made a mistake and it was dismissed, and that's the worst part of the whole thing. And it really is bad for the family. I really feel bad for them, and I feel bad if I was her. I mean, it's like she messed up big time, and well, a whole group of them did.
She should.
They let that family down big time, in my opinion.
Well,
So
honestly, to be honest with you, I don't like her. I don't like her because I think that I think she does have vendettas and she goes after people for the wrong reasons because I believe she went after Hannah, like, let's go after her, but she didn't go after the guy that is in charge of safety. Oh, let's give him a slap on the wrist. I mentioned that before. I'm not okay with that. He should have had to go to trial just like Hannah did because he touched the gun after Hannah did. He handed the gun to Baldwin. So her letting him off, I'm not okay with that.
I
So
don't
ever
I
since
don't
then, I haven't liked her.
I don't think that's the case though. I don't. They were offered deals. They refused. He accepted.
Hannah was
Baldwin
not
was
offered a
offered. He
deal.
offered what's his name was Baldwin was offered. He had a deal at first. There was a deal at first, and it fell through. And there's a lot of reasons to say there's people, have to say it fell through for different reasons. And the other guy was offered a deal, and the other girl, I don't remember her name, that wanted threw the ammunition away. I think she was offered a deal as well. I don't know about Hannah. I don't know if they offered her any
Hannah
deal or
was not
not.
offered a deal.
So I have
That's
no
a
idea.
right. But I'm saying is that she offered deals to people that she should have prosecuted.
Well, you got to look at it like this. I wouldn't have offered a deal to Hannah, and I wouldn't have offered one to Baldwin because they're guilty.
I
And
wouldn't
by
have offered one to Hannah either, but I
and
would have not offered one to that old man, whatever
well, you got to look at it
the
like this: bigger fish. You want to get Hannah, and you want to get Baldwin, and I'm thinking that's what she wants.
yeah.
Then you're gonna give a deal to somebody else, so you can get them. You want to go after the bigger fish or the one that's the most responsible. Maybe she thought Hannah was the most responsible, so she was going to give him a deal so she could get her for sure. Hopefully, get Baldwin because initially they said they were going to, and then they dropped it and reinstated it. And so that's part of it. That he wasn't important to her. I mean, if you look at you have the two together, you could say they're equally responsible because she loaded it and then gave it to him, and he didn't check it good enough, and he gave it to
Yeah.
Alec.
So he should have gotten in
But
trouble too.
her responsibility is that's her job, so she's more responsible. Somewhat,
He's the
I think all three
safety.
of them. I think all three of them are responsible.
He's
You
the
can't
safety
say
guy
that,
in charge of
but
everything.
you can't say he's so responsible. But the guy with a gun in his hand is not because he's an actor. That has to stop. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I mean, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, like I said, don't go on a movie set and don't get anywhere near an actor because they can shoot you and get away with it because they're an actor. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like that's absolutely retarded. That's just it just frustrates me with that. It just that it I had like I said, I had somebody say that to me today, and it's just like I don't get it. It
Yeah,
just makes no
I
sense.
think that's probably if you took a poll, if there was a poll done, in fact, you might want to put a poll up. Because what are how many people believe he should have not been even charged versus people that believe like you do, where you pointed the gun at someone, you pulled the trigger, you should be in trouble, even if you are an actor, even if you're on a set. So it'd be interesting to see the, if you did a poll, what the difference would be. Would it be 50-50? Would it be, 90 90-40, 90-40, 90-20, 10,
I
90-10. I
just
can't even
not.
count. Well, whatever. But it'd be really
I'm just
interesting to see.
I'm just not a fan of getting special treatment.
Yeah.
If I handed you a gun and you shot somebody, you think you're gonna say, "Well, he handed it to me. I was acting like an actor. I wanted to be an actor. I mean, come on, that's retarded.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that word. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody, but that's just not right. Like I said, this is just my opinion, and that's all it is, and that's
Well,
so
he
everybody
definitely
has
made a
different
huge,
opinions.
he have definitely made a huge error. And you pray that he learned from his mistakes because honestly, I hope that everybody that has watched this trial, that is in movies, that handles guns on sets, that they learn from this because it isn't a joke.
What
Guns
are they?
are dangerous.
But what is going to change? What is going to change when their whole agenda is to say, well, an actor's not responsible? So what is going to change in the actor's mind now? What is going to change in the movie industry to make
Well, that really
actors
didn't come out though. See,
be
that's the whole.
responsible?
Well, that
What is going to change to make this not happen again? Well, we got to get better armorers. We got to make it better second checkers. But we don't need to make the actors don't need to do anything because they're just not responsible. I mean, it's just I'm sorry. I just get frustrated with it because the firearms. I know, like I said, when it
Well, let
comes
me
to
ask you
guns,
this. Let me ask
zero
you this.
tolerance.
Isn't it a fact, I could be wrong, but isn't it a fact that the armorer is supposed to take the gun, take the bullets they're going to be putting in this gun, and
Mhm.
be next to the person? Say you're going to say I'm the armorer and you're the guy that's the actor that's going to be
Right.
shooting the scene. And I'm standing here, you're on my left side, and you're watching, and I'm showing you the bullets and I'm shaking them. You hear them, and
Right.
you watch me put them in. And isn't that the way it's supposed to be done? So yes, you're
No.
not putting them in there, but you're watching.
No,
That's what they should be
it's not
doing.
not the way it's supposed to be. And the reason I say that is because they're not required to. SAG guidelines say that they can if they want to, but they don't have
Well,
to.
they need to change
Now,
that.
me personally, Well, no one would be doing that anyway. I know more. I would know enough. I would be the armor of anything. But if there was somebody that was doing that for some reason, give it to me. I'd be right there. See, the actor is not. They don't want the actor doesn't. They don't want the actor to be an expert. And the actor is not going to be an expert. They're not expected to be an expert. So they're not expecting to hand it to the actor and him say, "Okay, well, I didn't see you do it, so I'm going to load it." No, you don't want them doing that because now you have a person that's not an expert loading it.
Right.
But the SAG guidelines don't require you to. But what you should be doing is standing right next to them, exactly like you said. And you should know enough because you should be trained enough. That's what this round is. This is what this round is. So they know what the rounds look like. That's all they need to know, other than basic functions of the firearm. And so you teach them that, so they know what they're looking at when it comes to that. And they're going to understand that. Anybody will understand what you showed. This is what they are. You go through the whole training course,
Yeah.
and then when they're loading it, you'd be. That's what I would do because I don't.
Well, then it goes
I
back
would
to
never
the
take a
trial.
gun from somebody else.
Yeah, then it goes back to the trial where, if that evidence would have came in where that, the training was not done, he was too busy to do the training, he didn't want to do the training, blah, blah, blah. See, all those things would have been against him. So
Only if it's required. If it's not required, and he doesn't
I
have to
thought
do
they
it.
said they were have like a required training on the set
They
that they
do.
were
I'm
going
just
to
saying.
do.
I'm saying in general. I'm saying
Yeah,
in
in
general
general.
what's
No, I
required.
think that things need to definitely be changed. I think that SAG, whatever, they obviously don't know about guns. They need that it needs to be changed. Because these are people's lives. It's not a joke. I mean, during the trial, they brought up his lawyer brought up a movie star that is very popular that was actually on the set right before that happened. Jeremy, is it Jeremy something? Anyways, very good looking guy. And so he was one of the gentlemen that was coming into there to have the fight with Baldwin when Baldwin was supposed to pull the gun out. And they practiced that scene right before this all happened. Well, he was also the same gentleman that they said that there was live rounds on his belt,
Yep.
so I remember seeing him in an interview and he was like devastated. He was devastated. So it just shows you that this stuff needs to stop. If they want to start making movies with guns, they need to change the rules because this is not a joke.
Yeah. It definitely needs to. The industry needs to definitely change. As far as some of the guidelines, I think it needs to be a requirement that they have their training. I think it needs to be a requirement that they have a certain amount of training, a certain amount of time. It needs to be signed off by somebody, like you do with any other training. A third party, somebody in that particular state or whatever, has to come by. An inspector has to see that it's done, has to sign off to everybody that's done it, and you have to be showed what difference between blanks and dummy rounds and prop guns, fake guns and rubber guns and functioning guns. You need to be taught all that stuff, and then the actor is required to be standing right next to the person loading it, and the assistant director is required to do it as well. Um, there's not, I know the actor, unless I'm mistaken, the actor is not required to. It's suggested. And then when you do that, then and then of course you should be aiming off to the side, never pulling the trigger unless the scene requires it or a hammer or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So I think all that stuff needs to be changed. But if people are gonna have this attitude that an actor's not responsible, why is an actor gonna bother doing that? I'm not responsible. I don't need to do that. I can just shoot it and kill somebody, and I'm an actor. Did you fake kill somebody? Because she's not fake dead. She's
Well, it's,
really she.
it's weird because, like I
No.
said before this trial, I thought in my mind he should be in trouble. It's like, hey, he's on a set, he's acting, it's not, it's supposed to be safe, blah blah blah. I think a lot of people think that, but
Well,
and it could
yeah,
be a lot of people that don't actually handle guns and don't
mm,
really know
yeah.
anything about guns.
It's funny because when I first heard about this, I'm glad you said this. When I first heard about this, and I found out that he had a gun in his hand, a gun went off, or the whole scenario. 2 seconds in, it's guilty. Just that simple. It's basic gun laws. It's basic reality. You have the gun in your hand. You pull the trigger. You shoot somebody, and you kill them or harm them, whatever. You're responsible. It's just that simple. And all of a sudden, you have movies are different, and this is different. No, it's not. It's
It's
not.
because, yeah,
And I
and
know about firearms. I dealt with my whole
right,
life. A gunsmith, you learn the basic gun rules. You learn. You don't point at anything unless you intend to destroy it. You don't pull the trigger. You always know your background. There's all these rules you go through.
Yeah.
You know these rules. There's no exception. I don't care who you think you are or who you're playing. There is no exceptions. So when I heard it, that it's just that simple because I know about them. I deal with them.
Right.
And it's just a
Yeah.
reality. It's a reality in life. I don't care who you're playing or who you think you are or who you're faking or whose words you're writing because somebody else writes them for you. It doesn't matter. Not when it comes to firearms. And so to me, it's that simple. So this actor thing has to stop. That has to because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. So what are we gonna do next? Uh, you know, um, rock climbers. They're not responsible. No, because they're rock climbers. I mean, we can do this all day long. We can add all kinds of anybody. Somebody loads a firearm and hands it to you. You don't take any responsibility. You don't have any responsibility, and somebody dies while it's in your hands, and that's okay because you have a certain job. I mean, it just
Right.
it
Well,
does
they
that
didn't, I
doesn't fly.
mean, so when nothing was really said to say that it was okay or that actors are never going to get in trouble because the it was dismissed. So it's,
Oh, I know that. I know
yeah,
that. I'm just
yeah,
saying when they say that he's not responsible or that he's not his, when they say those things, they are saying it's okay. That's the way I look at it. When you're saying he's not responsible, he's just an actor. He's not required. You're saying that it's okay then. It's okay that he did this. And it's not in my opinion. Absolutely, it's not. So I don't care what they do with any of the other stuff. When it comes to firearms, everybody has to go by the same standard. These things hurt people. They're dangerous. We have these rules in place for everybody. A,
yeah,
a law enforcement officer that pulls his firearm out and shoots somebody is not any different than somebody else that pulls their firearm out and shoots somebody, generally, unless he's defending his life, protecting somebody else or whatever. But if he was just willy nilly pulling it out
mhm,
and shooting it, and then somebody next to him just willy nilly pulled his out, the gun out and shot somebody, they're both in the same boat. Just because he has a badge and he has an extra week of training and he thinks he's an expert, um, that doesn't change anything because they're both the same result.
yeah,
Well, he's a cop. He can get away with it. He's law enforcement. Not if it's just a basic pull it out and shoot. If you had other scenarios in there, yes. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but I'm just saying that it has to be the same for everybody. You know that. If I went anywhere, even when I go to look at a firearm, they look at it and they see it's empty. They make sure it's empty when you go to buy a firearm. And I'm watching. I can see it.
yeah,
I'm looking and I'm seeing it's empty. They hand it to you with the chamber open. I can see it's empty. I'm looking again. Whole time I'm never pointing it at anybody.
right,
But I don't just take it from them and say, oh, okay, well, he works at a gun place. He knows what he's doing. Let me
right,
just point it at somebody. You think I would get away with that? And I say, well, you know what? I feel like an actor today, so I can get away with it because I call myself an actor because you can be whatever you want nowadays, right? So I'm just an actor. So you pull it out and somebody dies. Hey, I'm just an actor. I can get away. I'm not responsible. That's how stupid that is. That is how dumb that is. That's why I'm all fired up because he is responsible. She's no longer alive, and he's not going to pay for it, and that's not acceptable. But they went by the law, and that's not right what they did to him either. So
yeah,
two wrongs don't make a right. It's not acceptable what they did. They should have been dismissed. I agree with that 100%, but it doesn't change the way I feel about what he did. And I don't believe he did it on purpose either.
no,
So anything else?
no, I think that we kind of beat a dead horse here.
Yeah, they're a little rambling, but I just want to get that.
Yeah,
Hopefully you guys got something out of that. And it's just my opinion, just the way I feel about it. Everybody has a different opinion. If we can put what you think down in the comments down below, and just if our opinions don't match it, they don't have to. We all have different opinions and different ways of looking at it. We have different life experience, and we have different different experience when it comes to firearms as well, whether we like them, don't like them, or whatever. So I think that's going to do it. So you good?
I'm good. Let us know what you think. Please leave some comments at the bottom and subscribe.
I think I asked you twice if you were good, so you're double good.
I'm double
All right,
good.
all right, guys.
All
That's
right.
going to do it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. So until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, To always mind your surroundings. Bye.
Bye.